From Perth, Australia, and broadcasting around the world, you're listening to The O Show with your host, Oren McCory. The O Show is a no-nonsense podcast bringing you the best advice on training, mindset, and nutrition to supercharge your efforts in the gym, the kitchen, and most importantly, in your head. Don't forget to share this episode on your social media. Now, let's get to it.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of The O Show. I am your host, Oren McCory, and today I have on Perth's most famous bald man. You will know him from Perth Fit Fam, you'll know him from Fit Fam Finder, and just from being a general legend on his own personal page. We've got big Brendo McCormack.
Thanks for having me on. Big O.
It's been a while in the making, so it's good to finally get you on and have a chat, because you probably are one of the most famous people in Perth fitness scene, because you literally are the owner of the Perth Fit Fam account, right? And you created this big hashtag. I'm not sure how many hashtags it's got, but like everyone uses that hashtag. Pretty much everyone follows that account if they're in the Perth fitness scene. So a lot of people will know who you are, mate. So it's really, really good to have you on and to connect properly, even though it is via Zoom.
Yeah. Thank you. No, totally cool, man. So just with that, so I changed my accounts recently, and we'll go into like everything. But that hashtag, I just check in, it's 543,000 tags.
Wow.
At the moment. And in comparison, Perth Fitness, which is the generic one, it's probably like less than half. So that Perth Fit Fam brand is more popular than the actual Perth Fitness hashtag. So that's pretty insane.
Yeah, wow, that's insane, buddy. That's insane. So it goes to show the hard work you put in over the years, right? And so how long have you been running that page?
So I started it must have been just over 4 years ago, I think. So how the whole Perth Fit Fam thing came about is I've been in the fitness industry for 17 years, and I spent the majority of that as a rep on the road in the subs game. So because I was on the road, I was very active. I had a pretty big network of people across all different areas of the fitness industry. And I got to see like so much cool stuff in all different niches. So, you know, we met through like the bodybuilding niche. You know, I spent a lot of time in the CrossFit, there's OCR, powerlifting, even jungle body. There's so many different things. And unless you're part of those niches, you don't understand how big they are. So it's like, okay, a few people might do this. But when you delve into it, you open it up and there's like thousands or tens of thousands of people. There's events, there's personalities, there's politics, there's culture. And I always thought, man, if people aren't aware of all these things, I'd love a way to be able to showcase that. So someone actually owned the Perth Fit Fam account before I did, and it was just a small little account. And I thought, as soon as I saw it, I went, oh man, that is like the best account to own in Perth, because it's Perth, Fit Fam being the lingo. It's a cool little brand. So I followed it for a while. They gave me a couple of shares back then, so probably 5 years ago or more. And one day there was a post which just said takeover. It was just like a text post on Instagram. And then when I read it, it was something along the lines of, you know, we're uni students, don't have time to administrate the page. If someone wants to take over it, let us know. So I shot him a DM straight away. I was, and you know, let them know who I was. I offered to buy it off them, and they were like, "Nah, don't worry about it. All good. Love for you to take it over. Here's the email. Here's the passwords." So then I got access to it straight away. Changed the emails, changed the passwords, registered the domain, the business name, the trademark, Snapchats, Facebook, everything, all within like 25 minutes. I owned it all. And then I spent like 6 months. So no one knew I owned it. I just used it as a resharing platform. It wasn't branded or anything back then, but I just spent like literally, because I didn't live with Shell. So Shell's my wife. I didn't live with her at the time. I don't even think we were dating at the time, to be honest. So I had plenty of time as a single dude, and I would just spend like 4 hours a day, or any break that I had in my day, I'd just spend time engaging, commenting, following pages within the niche. And all of a sudden, this little thing just blew up. And I think within like 6 months, I got to about 13,000 followers or something along those lines. It took probably about 6 months. So it was pretty rapid. And then that Perth Fit Fam hashtag just became part of culture within the
Yeah.
Perth fitness space. Yeah. So if more people know the hashtag than the actual brand, which is funny.
Yeah, to be honest, you were saying about the nearest one being Perth Fitness, and I've never even used that. I always just do hashtag Perth Fit Fam and like Doherty's and different things if I'm doing hashtags, right? So I didn't even know that was the nearest one to it. So
Yeah, well, there you go, 282,000. So that's still huge, right?
yeah.
282,000. But to double that and to not even be the generic tag, like that's what I mean. It's insane. No other state has a brand. So Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, no other state has a brand that is even close to doing that. So it's something really unique that happened here.
Yeah, that's massive, mate. And that leads us in nicely to the next topic, which is currently what you're doing now. And I've witnessed through friends of mine who are doing the course, you're doing your Not a Social Media course, which is your social media and business and development as a whole course, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the
I
aim
should
of that being just to help people build their business and their brand on social media, taken.
Yeah, so all right, I'll give an explanation of this. So Perth Fit Fam, as I was growing it, and it became this like social sharing platform, and then we did vlogs and websites and podcasts. So I was a frequent like top 30 iTunes podcast, which is cool because it was just for one state, so that was kind of cool. You got to go to the Arnold's with media passes, got to commentate the CrossFit Games. I could open up so many doors. But I had built this big community, but I never really created a good sustainable business model for it. So, to show my wife and I at the start of last year, we said, hey, we've got this thing. We really need to do something with it, like something big with it. And we decided to get some business coaching at the start of last year. So the first business coach that we had, we went through, and part of the program was we needed to really develop a product that we're able to sell to our clients. And in my mind, I always thought Perth Fit Fam would do things like host events, festivals, that sort of stuff. But we were kind of put on the line that we needed to create something which people could purchase. And they asked me, like, what's the one thing that people always ask you for, or they want to pay you for, or they just want to know from you? And I said, well, it's social media. Because at that stage, people would hit me up, and I never advertised it, but they'll just want help with their socials. So I just went, yeah, sure. I'll do one-on-one sessions. I'll charge for the hour. And whenever I went to go do presentations at like Fit College or any of the personal training places, I'd always open up for a Q&A at the end. And 100% of the time, no joke, the first question would be, hey, what's your advice for social media? So during that business course for us, when I was like, okay, well, it's social media that people want to know. And I never wanted to be that dude. It's never the direction that I wanted to go, but that's what people wanted from me. And so we created a little MVP, like a little minimum viable product. I think it was about $47 or something like that. And we did a webinar, and that was part of the program. You had to put yourself out, do a webinar, and then present the course at the end. And we did that, and there was 96 people in our course, and we sold more courses than, we sold more products, more programs than anyone else on the course. And straight away, you're like, we did the call to action at the end, and then all of a sudden the emails are dinging, and it's like ding, 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 ding with all the sales coming through. And I was like, okay, shit, that's pretty strong market validation that this is what people want from me.
Yeah.
And so then from there, we got more coaching. We developed out to a higher ticket sort of product, which was more in depth, small group coaching, which is more the model that we sort of do now. And it became a really good sustainable part of our business. So it was interesting to go so long and try to develop a model and then pivot. And then it was like, oh, okay, this is actually really good. And our clients get amazing results. And so for me, that's really fulfilling. One of our mutual friends and Doherty's trainer, Nick, is in the course. And for someone just to have the confidence to be able to start to master and take control of their marketing and then actually get results, it's the confidence that it gives them is huge. The success in the business it gives them is huge. Yeah. And then that just makes me feel good, is that I can pass on some knowledge and help some people out. So I think like with the name and the not a social media course, I like to be a little bit funny with how I do stuff. I like Elon Musk and the not a flamethrower. I thought was a good little joke. And what I discovered is that there's so many different social media coaches or gurus out there. They essentially coach the same shit, right? Like, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard once you get the basic knowledge of how to implement it. But the thing which separates me apart was that, and the way that our people do super well is like 17 years of experience in business in the industry. And I guess one of my strengths is understanding opportunities and holes in the market and being able to look at their business from a bird's eye view and be able to help them and guide them with that and showcase them where the opportunities are. And that's where they get really, really good results. So whilst there's social media, and that's a core component of what we do, it's essentially like more the business strategy and the guidance to be able to showcase people those opportunities. So I went, you know what, I'm going to go against the grain completely. I'm not going to sell it as social media. So it will be not a social media course. And
Nice.
that's how we positioned it, and worked really, really well. And it's cool because then I get to have a bit of fun with the branding too.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And it's a good story that you've used the Elon Musk not a flamethrower thing, and have injected your own personality into it, mate. So
I'm going to get one of those, by the way.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I'm going to get one of those.
Oh, you're going to get one?
Yeah, you can get replica flamethrowers. So I'm going to see if I can import one in so that I can create content with this not a flamethrower.
Yeah, your social media course banner is just you with the flamethrower, just letting it off, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I actually want to get one and see what I can get away with it.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, the course sold out really quickly. I'm pretty sure Elon's launch, he sold them all pretty much first time around, right? When he first
straight off the bat, yeah. It was like 20,000 not a flamethrowers.
Yeah. Which were a flamethrower, by the way, in case anyone doesn't get the,
joke.
Yeah,
exactly. I love it. So, no, it was good. It was my sort of humor. So it's good for branding. It comes across, but then it's also the truth behind it too. It's not just a social media course. So that works out. That works out well. So, so that kind of took us like down a different sort of pathway, right? And then I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to let you direct the conversation before I start going off on too much of a tangent.
No, I was just going to say, mate, that, you know, it's an 8-week course, right? That you take on small groups. So it's very personal. It's not just like a load of videos on a site that people work through. It's a lot of one-on-one coaching and, well, group Zoom calls and FaceTime with you like this, where they can talk about their problems and you can work out how to get around them together then.
Yeah, man, that's been like the biggest part of it, is building a community and a connection between everyone who's on the course, because they're there to support themselves. They get really good advice. You know what? Like 80% or more of people who buy a course that isn't coached like that, they don't follow through. They'll buy it and then they just never do anything with it. So would prefer to provide value and really, really good service. So then we know that the guys are equipped and that they actually follow through. So that was really important with me. And one thing that we discussed is that we didn't want to load it up with students that we couldn't give quality support to. So it works out better, small groups, small frequent groups, and take people through and just make sure that they have the attention and care and the accountability to follow through.
Yeah, I mean, that's massive. So you're going to say then that developing this not a social media course led you down another path. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, all right. So last year, I'm going to go straight into Fit Fan Finder, right? Because then this is all going to tie up. So, I'm pretty connected with our audience. You know, we got a pretty big community, and I do quite a few Q&As and bits and pieces. So I would always get hit up. You know, Shell and I met through the fitness industry. She was a rep, I was a rep, and some people knew us as like a fitness couple, I guess. And I'd always get hit up with questions like, what's your advice for meeting other people, other fit people, but not on Tinder and Bumble? And I always thought it was a bit of a joke, because I think you said before the call, dating app, it's not your market. You wouldn't really think of it. I was the same. Like, I'm out of the market. I don't think about dating apps, right? And but it was a consistent question that I'd get asked every so often. And I just thought it was kind of funny. But then I actually got hit up with a question during a Q&A, which was, someone genuinely wanting help to find a date for a work party. And I was like, yeah, I know the guy. So I tagged her in, tagged him in. I'm like, you guys go meet, let us know how it goes. Well, that post went ballistic, right? So a normal post for me on Instagram stories, if I tag someone in, if it gets about 200 click-throughs, like I always look at my insights, if it gets about 200 click-throughs, that's a pretty good post. This post got like 2,000 click-throughs, and I had people bombarding my DMs straight away going, hey, that's awesome. Can you help me out? So I guess the entrepreneur in me and also the comedian in me. So I love my insights. So I'm just in hysterics at how much people are into this, just loving it, laughing, just checking my insights every 10 minutes. Yeah. And then on the other side, the entrepreneur in me was like, hey, this is actually an issue that people have, like fitness people. Fitness is a lifestyle. And, what we discovered later is about around 85% of fitness people want to find a partner who's equally as active. The issue is that current dating apps didn't provide that. There was a lot of volume, but the quality and the compatibility was low, which led to a bad experience. So I did a whole bunch of market research within this time. And whilst all this was going on, I thought, okay, I'm going to test it to see if this is a fluke or what the deal is. And I started doing every Friday. It was like a Fit Fan Finder Friday. I just decided to call it Fit Fan Finder. So it was Fit Fan Finder Friday. I'd get someone's permission, get a few photos, do a little bio, age, do like the little flame swipe right thing. So it kind of replicated a dating app sort of environment to a degree. Yeah. And the rules were, we had permission, no creeps, no hookups, and absolutely no dick pics. And I laid it out every single time. And people were cool. Like, people were really cool about it. You know, there was about 51 swipes every time on average. People were like, catching up, going on dates. And then I'd consistently get people saying, hey, can you do this for me? So I knew that there was an opportunity. I knew that there wasn't options in the market. And then I ended up, funny enough, I ended up doing like a Kickstarter. I said to Shell, so we had enough going on. We started doing these social media courses. And so we were kind of settling into that. And then I said to my wife, hey, this is actually an opportunity. I think that it's like, there's something there. I want to pursue it. I had to ask permission. So I'm like, I want to pursue it, but I will work on it when you're not at home. So Shell trains in the morning. So I'd wake up at like 3:30 a.m. Before she got up. I'd start working on it straight away. So I'd start researching, start finding out, more details. And I had up until just before 8 o'clock until she came home, and then laptop down, focus on social media courses and whatever else we had on. So I did that. I put out a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter, after all the feedback, I'm like, oh, if I get a Kickstarter, if I get this funded, I'll go ahead with it. If I don't, I won't. And with all like the people talking about it and the feedback, I'm like, this is going to be easy. And put the Kickstarter out, and it just completely bombed, right? And there's so much I didn't know about crowdfunding, and I thought it would be easy, and it completely bombed. Like, in fact, I had almost as many people message me about doing an early investment than what I did consumers actually pledging. And it was interesting because you could look at that as a failure, but because I put it out, that actually opened up the doors to building the team and getting the initial like small funding to get it off the ground. So it came from like a network of mine who had developed an app himself in the past. He's like, hey man, I think this is an amazing idea. I'd like to help get it off the ground. So he came on. So he was part of my gym. I went through a pre-accelerator program within Space Cube, which is like the startup community here in Perth. So I went through a 6-week program with them in the city. And as I got towards the end of it, I knew that I needed a tech co-founder because neither me and the other now co-founder was tech-based. So just having a conversation like this in the gym, there's about 4 or 5 people around. And then I got a message from one of the guys that was there, and who's an engineer. And he said, hey, I didn't want to bring anything up at the time because it was probably not the right time, but I'm actually a computer scientist and a coder. I've actually got a startup in oil and gas where we coded from the ground up. It's a piece of software and we sell it to companies internationally through Europe. So if you want help or want advice from the technology space, I'm more than happy to help out. And he was like the perfect avatar of what I had in mind as the third co-founder. So, we started working together, and then, it was a really good fit. He ended up coming on board. So there was 3 of us. And then we ended up, launching this thing at the start of the year, it was pretty crazy, like that journey up until that point. And then amongst all of this and this networks and this bizarre sort of experience, just someone else at the gym, who came up to me and said, "Hey, one of my good friends from back home, so he's South African. She was the ex-head of fraud for Bumble. Do you want to meet her? And she lives in Amsterdam." And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to meet her, of course." So he did an intro. We jumped on Zoom, had a really good chat, hit her up with a whole bunch of questions. And she said, a lot of them were like marketing and data sort of questions, like the important stuff for us. And she said, "Well, it's not my department. I can't help with it. But one of I'm really good friends with the ex-head of data. She left Bumble recently, and do you want to meet her?" And so in the tech space, just to give people context, when you're talking technology, your business is run by data. So basically your user behavior, data collection determines how you develop out an app, how you do advertising and marketing. So data is like almost the heart or the brain of the business. So having someone who had the experience from conception to a $3 billion sale of being a key person in making a company grow like that, opening up the doors for that for our team. So of course I'm like, that's the one person in the world that I want to meet right now.
Yeah.
So we linked up with her, got along really well. Every couple of weeks we'd just tee up a bit of a Zoom call just for a bit of a chat. And I just said to the guys, this is such a unique opportunity for us to be even having these conversations. We need them to be a part of the team. So I pitched the idea of them coming on board, and they believed in us, believed in the team, believed in the product, and that's how that partnership came about. So they're a part of the team, and we catch up with them every week, run through sprints for the week, and then that's opened up doors. And as soon as that announcement came out, we're opened up doors for investment, and now we're just closing a very, very nice sizable seed fund to take this thing around Australia and then across to Europe and America.
Nice, mate. That's massive. And to think that this started out as literally trying to help people out as like a little swipe emoji and like locally in Perth, and now you're at the stage where you've got a big seed investment, and you're going to take it nationally and internationally. That's massive, mate. Well done.
Yeah, I think like the important thing is as well is that the one thing that I find a lot is people who they think that I guess it's like a perfectionist thing, is that they're not willing to start until all the ducks are lined up. But if you're in a startup, like especially like a high growth tech startup environment, you have to test small. Like you have to test to see, like everyone has a great idea. I say it all the time. Like I've had so many good ideas that I thought are amazing, but when you put it out there, like you get crickets. Like you need to test things, and you need to test things very fast and at a small scale. And then it's like, just keep on following the string, like, and if you're getting results, then you can consistently build it out until you know that you've got a proof of concept, that you've got some people coming on board, that people are willing to pay, and then you can start to look at bigger things from there. So it was a very efficient way for us to test out if it was, first of all, potentially going to work. And then the way that we developed out the initial product was done pretty cost effective and as fast as we could, just to prove out, okay, do we have a proof of concept? Do people want to use the app? Are they willing to pay for the app? Do they stick around on the app? This is all the data that we sort of looked at to work out, hey, we have a business here. We've found a hole in the market, and we can execute on this to create something pretty awesome.
Yeah, mate, it's inspiring, right? Just listening to you talk about how you built this, and what started out as, working on it at 3:30 in the morning before the missus went to the gym is now like becoming a real labor of love and the main focus, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's a bizarre experience for sure. It's like, I think I mentioned, offline. So, having this team, and we, COVID started 2 weeks after we launched, and we sat down and we're like, okay, well, let's look at the opportunities rather than the issues. So people are going to be on social media more. So there was an uptake of about 30 to 40%, which means that they were going to be on their phones more, which is a good thing. And advertisers were within our space were going down, because if you had gyms and trainers and whatnot, that would be usually in the advertising space. And now they're not paying for advertising. It means that the cost is going to go down, because you're going to be fighting people less in the auction format on Facebook. So we said, okay, well, let's focus on acquisition within our area. Let's try and get people on board. We'll have a slightly different messaging about dating digitally. And we were able to acquire like a few thousand users pretty rapidly, and for cost effective, which allowed us to test the product. But the surreal experience, like this whole global deal with this Bumble crew and how it came about, and then doing everything via Zoom, like online, just, it was the opportunity that we had. There was no option to fly over there. But I went through the CEO of Bumble. So I went through, I'm like, okay, well, what was life like for her when Bumble started out? Just to get a bit of a perception from my standpoint. And so I went right back through her Instagram stories, and there's a photo of the initial founding team of Bumble, and our now team member is in this photo right next to him. And it's bizarre to think that your team that you're now leading was part of that team. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is legit. Like, this is real. It's a unique experience. And you got really big shoes to fill.
Yeah. I mean, and it sounds like you're filling them well, though, in terms of the vision and everything that's happened in the, 12 months or so since you started doing this. And like I said offline, mate, like, I kind of switched off to that side when you would post about that, because I was like, right, that's not for me. I've been married for 2 years. Like, as much as I'd love to support the brand and support you, like, I'm not going to be going into meetups or downloading any apps. I don't know how that will go down with the missus. So,
yes.
But to hear about the growth and exactly where you went, mate, it is very, very inspiring, mate, and it's a credit to you and your work ethic. So well done.
Yeah, thank you. And then, like, so all of that's cool, and then that's aside. So then, like, going back to the Perfect Fam side. So now, you're left in a predicament. There's this brand that you've built, we spoke about, all these tags and all these bits and pieces. And so, through that process, we worked out, okay, social media is what people want to learn from me. That became a very successful part of our business, and people are getting results. And, my wife oversees and does the operations of that. And, that's been like really good for us. And then you have this opportunity, this like once in a lifetime opportunity, with FitFam Finder and, being in this tech space. And I have a tendency to bite off more I can chew. That's like, I guess that natural entrepreneur instinct. You see opportunities and you just want to go for them, like little shiny things in the distance. And I was sitting, and as investments coming in, you got shareholders, you got a team of people, you got co-founders, you have essentially an opportunity that you're leading. And I always thought, man, with my skills now, I wish I had those skills when I started Perfect Fam, because I would have developed it out differently, and I would have had an end goal in mind, as opposed to when I started it, I just wanted to showcase cool stuff. Like, that was sort of it. So I thought, okay, well, what's stopping me from going back and rebuilding it out how I would? Because I think that I would create something different out of it, and definitely something like more sustainable and better for everyone. And so I went back through and I started to redevelop out the website, change the platforms around, because essentially the Perfect Fam platform became me. Social media courses was, the programs, or not a social media course, became really successful for us. So that was the main driver. And I thought, okay, I'll reshift Perfect Fam over and build it out from scratch. And then I was sitting down doing the website, and all of a sudden, because it takes time, right? Like, it takes time and it takes mental energy to do this stuff and to execute it. And then I just thought, man, I have all of these responsibilities. I have a wife, we're having a family. Am I really going to be able to do this? And like, every hour that I focus on that, it's decision fatigue. It's taken away from my core focus and the opportunities in front of me. So I just stopped and I went, I can't do this anymore. And it sucks, because there's so much that I want to do, and it provided so much value for the industry. But yeah, at some point in time, I think that you've just got to stop and say, okay, well, that's just not a part of you anymore, which is a shame, but the opportunities are just bigger elsewhere, I guess. And you got to
Yeah,
step
that's
into
fair.
that.
That's fair, mate. And, you know, at least you're recognizing that decision fatigue and that, I mean, you've got to manage your energy, right? And if you're constantly trying to put your energy here and energy there, you're not really giving either one 100%. And it's going to lead to you eventually getting burnt out and fatigued.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah, that's massive. And I do believe that by the time this comes out, there might be a big announcement and there's some changes to the app coming.
Yeah. So, so Fit Fan
Not too
Finder.
much detail, though. I'm not going to push you for details.
Yeah. So Fit Fan Finder, obviously, you know, as I spoke about it, it was Fridays. So it was like Fit Fan Finder Friday, and it came out because of Perth Fit Fam, and I guess I've been connected to that brand. And so Fit Fan Finder was natural to call the app Fit Fan Finder. Now, with our team and growth consultants that we've worked with, as far as like, you know, people within our network that have helped out, I've always got hit up and they're like, hey, are you going to change the name? And, you know, that's like your name. And you kind of you know, a little bit taken back. And they're like, well, to be honest, it's pretty shit. And the issue is that FitFam is a commonly used term and it becomes confusing. So I get, it's the FitFam app. It's Fit Finder. It's Perth Fit Fam Finder. I get hit up with so many different things. And the issue is if people search Fit Fam on Google, then I think 11 million pages pop up.
Wow.
And it's very, very hard for us to even rank on our own terms. So we decided, you know, we're at a stage now where we're about to go through high growth in different markets. And we've kind of contained that as much as we could at the moment. And so we need to change it and have an identity of our own. So we went through and we acquired a really good name and all the IP and equivalent for that. So I think 1st of September is, or thereabouts, is there'll be a completely new brand name. The identity will be quite similar, a completely new app design, which looks amazing. I got to say, we're working with a really high level team in London with our design now. So we're very, very lucky. And it will be a sole brand of our own that will be able to grow multinational. So it's, I'm looking forward to it. It's the first time I'm going to be disassociated to anything Fit Fam for at least, the past 4.5 years.
Wow, that's big for you as well, buddy.
Yeah, massive. I know, right? Yeah,
massive.
Really cool. Yeah.
You got me excited about these changes, though. I might have to tell Esther I'm downloading the app and not to worry if she sees my profile on there.
Well, no, don't stress, man. It's okay because there may be a buddy section in there too. So you'll be
all
sweet.
right,
so
for gym
not just
buddies,
for dating.
right?
Yeah.
Nice.
We get hit up all the time. Hey, I'm not looking for dates. I just want to find other fit people in my area to connect with. I'm like, yeah, okay, we can do that. So that's fine.
Yeah, and that's massive because one thing that I instill, obviously, with the community that we've got is that when you're surrounded by people who are on the same mission, whether it's muscle gain, CrossFit, you know, fat loss, as long as they're on the goal of bettering themselves and improving everything, you're gonna be more likely to succeed when you surround yourself with people like that. So if you did have like a buddy section, because a lot of the time, well, people love that about Team OMC, that they come in and they're part of the community, but a lot of the time people miss that and they just go to the gym for an hour, a couple of times a week, but they want to pursue it more and have more just chill weekends where maybe go for breakfast and just a coffee rather than go out partying. And if you can provide that in a sense where it's whatever the new app name is, Buddy Finder or whatever, you know, the buddy aspect of it rather than the dating aspect, that could be massive as well.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what we found is that people wanted to use it and they wanted to be a part of it, but not for like romantic reasons, not for dating. So we have options, you know, there'll be options for that. There's some cool new features coming out and the branding's like, it's really cool.
Nice.
You know what? It's like you said, you know, a dating app, you switched off, it's not your market. And also like, it's kind of taboo. Like, although it's the second most popular way to meet someone now, and it's just increasing, like it's just becoming how to do it. But it's still kind of like taboo, right? Like, you know, people don't want to talk about meeting their partner on Tinder because when you think Tinder, you think like, hookups, casual sort of culture. Bumble's a little bit better, but it's still got a bit of a bad rap. Hinge, they've sort of changed a little bit. So it's progressively getting better. But I wanted to create a brand that people were proud to be a part of. And that, if we're at an event that, athletes or people would be happy to wear the brand and what we're about and the mission of, I was about to say the new name, the mission of what, of what that's about, and finding healthy relationships. And that can be, romantic relationships. That can be friendship connections, and that could be business connections as well. So it's like having good, healthy relationships across the board within fitness.
Yeah, man, that's killer. I'm really excited about this now. I can't wait for the future announcements. I'll have my eyes peeled on that, buddy. So congrats and good luck for everything that's still to come.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Now, mate, moving it away from the social media and apps world, there's a couple of things I wanted to get through really quick before we finish off, because I know you're a busy man. So Pepsi Max Mango, talk to me.
Yeah. All right. So I didn't know this was a thing, and I was at like a servo the other day, and I saw like this new Pepsi Max Mango, right? So I'm like, I got to get it. Looks cool. I'm a Pepsi Max a day kind of a guy. So I got it, and it's 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10. Like it's probably the best one. Like I would put it above vanilla even. And I had it, posted about it, and now I'm getting tagged in all these Pepsi Max posts and everyone trying this thing. And then Pepsi Max sent me a message this morning, so I got to try and get hooked up with some of the Pepsi Max sponsorships. But it's funny, it just goes to show you post something out there, and then you can create like a snowball effect within the market.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And like I was telling you before this, you messaged me. This is currently at 10 to 9 in the morning. You messaged me at 6:50. Just saying, oh yeah, we're still on for 8. Sorry, I forgot to message you back. And I checked your story then, and I seen all these Pepsi Max, and it was 10 to 7 in the morning. I still hadn't even had breakfast, and I was like, man, I really want one of those Pepsi Max mangoes.
Yeah, man, they're really good. I highly rate. It's funny because 80% of people or something in my poll where I'm like, yes or no, they're all like, no. I'm like, oh, you got no idea. This thing's amazing. So they'll all come around.
Mate, I'm gonna tag you in one today, and I'm gonna encourage anyone who tries it over the next couple of weeks when this comes out to tag Brendo as well in it. So
please do.
Yeah, that's massive. And then one thing you posted the other day, mate, and you were talking about the 1 percenters, like, and these are brands that you probably like, associate with, you might even be affiliated with, but it was all about the optimizing human performance and getting those little 1 percenters. So we had which I'm just about, it's on the screen behind me, the Convict Coffee Company. You had the mushroom mix, and I think it was the CBD products, right? So let's talk about those little things and why those 1 percenters as a businessman and entrepreneur are important to you.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, like mental performance is massive. Like productivity and getting shit done. Like that's probably the most important thing for me. So I want like any edge that I can. I'm probably like a bit ADHD and like focusing and stuff. I think like, I don't know, like for me, it's very, very hard to sit still. So I need something to be able to focus so I can double down, I can get stuff done and get through, a lot of work. So mental performance is super, super important to me. So it's funny, the Convict Coffee, they're actually a client of mine that came on the course. They wanted to be able to grow. And as soon as I saw the nootropic coffee, I'm like, man, that's like me to a T, because I was using some other high performance coffees before, but anything which is nootropic and stimulant, like that's a win for me. So I ordered some of that through, and that's really good. I don't know how to measure the nootropic side of it, but I find it to be a really, really good product, even as a coffee anyway. So what were the other things that we said? So CBD, so HeraFlow, I'm not affiliated. They just send me some stuff. So I was one of the first people that they sent stuff through. I find that good. That's not mental performance, but if I'm like stimmed up and using nootropics and stuff during the day, I find that really, really good to be able to help me relax, calm down, rest really well. Like my sleep's always 100%. So no problems there. They got the jellies and bits and pieces too. So I find CBD really good, and it's quite hard to get in Australia. So that's HeraFlow. I had the Lion's Mane. For those who are on YouTube, like I've got all the stuff kind of near me. I create little displays on my desk. So that's the Life Cycle. And I've got Lion's Mane and Cordyceps. So those boys were actually So Joe Rogan's actually talked about this on his podcast before, him and Rashad Evans, who was a UFC fighter. And
Yep.
the boys, the founders of Life Cycle, they were actually Perth guys. So not many people know that. There were a couple of Perth guys, and we first met years ago when they just launched their mushroom coffee, which has lion's mane and stuff in it. So that's a performance coffee as well. So again, like that being up my alley, we had a mutual friend. They introduced us and we caught up, and I was one of their original customers of that. So they've done really well. They work with Dave Asprey, the Bulletproof guys. They've worked with some really big global names. And I think that they do most of their trade through America now. So they've done really well. But they actually started by doing these organic coffee packs organic mushroom packs, which grow in coffee waste. So they were a sustainable business, which was their original business model, where they would go to all the coffee places, they would take away their coffee waste, and instead of it becoming waste, they would use that to be able to grow mushrooms in these containers. And then they would sell back the mushrooms to the cafes. And so that was like kind of the sustainable business model. And they're really, really good oyster mushrooms. So then they decided, okay, well, we can help educate kids and we can create these packs so you can grow your own mushrooms at home. It's really cool. So you just kind of like cut a hole in it and then the mushrooms grow out the side, which is kind of fun to do. But then they got into the nootropic side of mushrooms, or the performance side of it. So lion's mane, for mental performance, or I prefer the cordyceps, which is for physical performance. So I find the cordyceps, especially in CrossFit and something which is cardiovascular base, works really, really well for me. But then what else did I post outside of that? So this is the controversial one. But this is like my PEDs of mental performance. So I chew nicotine gum, which gets a bit of a mixed result. But it's funny how many people I know that do it as well, and some of them like quite high performance people. So nicotine's a stimulant, which I find is different to caffeine. So it's super, super good for focus, but it doesn't give you the ups and downs. So for me, that's probably the one thing that just helps me stay focused and concentrated at work without getting too overstimulated. So yeah, I don't think Nicorette's going to be throwing me a sponsorship though.
So would that be something that you'd use more like in the afternoon, maybe when the coffee volume goes down a bit, or when would you normally use the nicotine?
No, I'll just have less coffee. So I'll have like one coffee in the morning, and then that's sort of it for my coffee intake for the day. And then like just have a few nicotine gums through the day. So usually like when I'm going to sit down and I'm ready to focus and do something, that's probably the best time. But yeah. Tread with caution. Nicotine is an addictive. Oh, so is caffeine, but nicotine is addictive.
Yeah. And obviously, the more you take it, the more you're gonna need, right, to get the same effect. So at the start, you might need it once a day or one chewy, and then it becomes all day to get the same sort of amount, or two chewies or two sprays if you're doing the mist or whatever,
Yeah, it can do, but I find like as long as you have like your balance and I stick to a lower dose. Like you can buy different dosages. I stick to a lower dose, and it's a way to stay contained. But in the past 2 years, that's probably been like the most effective thing for me for focus when it comes to work.
Yeah, nice, mate. And it goes to show like all these one percenters. So some are physical based, some are for taking you down to chill at night with the missus, obviously. Some are for that mental boost during, like I said, training and work. And what's happened in the past year with FitFinder, obviously some of these one percenters are having an impact, right? Whether they're to let you chill out after a big day and chill with the missus and switch off, or it's whether to perk you up. So it's valuable, mate. It's valuable.
Yeah, it's like a higher stress level and probably like a more diversified workload, I guess is what you'd say. So just being able to focus and hone in when I'm doing a task is I got to have that edge.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And like, if it's 1%, it's 1% extra that goes into your business or your downtime or your performance in the training as well. So,
Yeah,
final
man.
question, bro. Are you still doing CrossFit?
Yeah, I still do CrossFit. It's my jam.
Nice, mate. Nice. How many days a
Yeah.
week?
It varies at the moment. So I've started using, talking about performance and little hacks. So I've started using a
Oh,
Whoop
yeah.
band. Yeah.
Yep.
So the Whoop band is, I did it because all the cool kids are doing it. I love to jump on a bandwagon, but it essentially tracks your recovery, which is based on, heart rate variability, your output or your day strain, and your sleep. And so it helps you optimize your performance across these levels. So one thing that I found, and especially in, probably now, like just under those stresses from work and bits and pieces, is my recovery is probably not as good as what I thought it would be, although my sleep is fantastic. And so I actually don't train with a high output as much as what I would. And it's been interesting, working with Dan England from Team Ecto with my nutrition. So my nutrition's good, my sleep's good, my recovery not so good, which is probably just, along with the stresses that I deal with. So I backed off the frequency and the intensity of which I train, which has been interesting because now I'm going in the gym and hitting some PBs that I haven't hit for quite a long time when I do press the trigger on
Yeah.
intensity. So probably about 3-4 days a week now. Whereas before, maybe like 5-6 days a week.
Yeah, fair, man. Fair. And that downtime as well then means that you have more time to focus on business, right? If you're not training as often, you're short, sharp, and effective with those 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And you're not just throwing in all that extra junk volume you were doing, which probably maybe even didn't even have that much of a physical edge to you, in terms of like potentially leading to burnout and everything as well.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. I went, you know what? Because I love training, right? So if I can train 5-6 days a week, that's good for me. It's just a release. But then I thought, okay, well, instead of doing that and maybe getting a negative return, and I'm sure if I focused on recovery, I'm sure if I used different protocols, then I would be able to improve that. I'm sure if I didn't use stimulants and nicotine gum, then my recovery rate would be improved as well, like to be honest. But I thought, okay, well, you're in a point within your life now where taking care of yourself is important as far as training goes, but also if I can focus more of that time on business or at home and lower my output, my energy, and focus that towards the things that are important right now, then that's a win as well. So, and if I'm hitting PBs and doing that, then that's good too.
Winner, mate. Winner, mate. And I think that's a good one to finish on. A PB is always a good one a positive note to finish a podcast on. So, big man, I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's been massively insightful into the world of social media development, app development, and just business growth and sort of spotting your opportunities and putting your energy there. Plus, also, it's good to know that Mango Pepsi Max, Cordyceps, and CBD are things that I should potentially look into.
Yeah. Maybe tread caution on nicotine gum, bro.
Yeah, no, I'll not put that one in yet unless I'm really unproductive.
Awesome, dude. No, that's totally cool. Thank you so much for having me on, man. And good work on just being out there and putting out a lot of good vibes and crushing it. You're doing good things.
Thank you, buddy. That means a lot coming from the daddy of the Perth fitness scene. So,
daddy, oh man, you know what? I'll finish on one thing. One thing I realized, I was always the up and coming person in the industry from when I was young, right? And then I realized I'm 35 now. I'm no longer the up and coming person. I'm like the veteran of the industry.
Nice.
It was a bizarre realization that I literally only had like a month or so ago. And I'm like, oh, I'm no longer the young up and coming person. I'm like the one that, I've been through it.
You've been through it. You got the experience bit, and that's why you're getting these results for these people on the social media course, because it's you've been through it and you can spot these things, right?
Yeah. It's good. There you go. The bald head of wisdom.
That's it, mate. That's it. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this, please tag Brendo on his personal page. Please tag me. Let us know what you thought about it. But this has been a great episode, mate. So, can't thank you enough for your time.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to The O Show with your host, Oren McCory. If you liked this episode, then please subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening and share this on your social media. We'll see you on the next episode for more no-nonsense advice to help you supercharge your efforts in the gym, in the kitchen, and most importantly, in your head. See you then.